These are the secrets of happiness. So who should be the master in our life? Yes, who should be the master? The innate self? Well, who is the master today? That's the important question, no? Who is the master today? The acquired self is the master or the innate? Who is the master? What do we see in our own lives? Who chooses? Who makes all the choice in our life? Yes, our basis of success, our basis of happiness is dependent on what? If it's dependent on the acquired self, that is our role in the organization, our possessions, our skills, our relationships, if it's dependent on that, what happens? The acquired is changing. And so what happens to our state of happiness? It keeps fluctuating. So if I have some possession, yes, which is good, which is functional, which I've chosen, which is important for me, but as soon as my neighbor or my friend has a better model of that, maybe car or maybe house or whatever is that possession, what happens to my happiness? It reduces. Well, it's okay, it's good, but it's not so good. It's not the best. That one is better. Yes? And so I stop enjoying what I already have. And so if my basis of happiness, my basis of success, my basis of growth, my basis of sense of security, if it's dependent on the acquired, what happens? The acquired keeps changing. And so what happens to my state of happiness and joy and insecurity? It keeps fluctuating. But as you said, the innate has to be the master. Why? Because the innate is permanent. It's eternal. And so when that becomes the master and makes the decisions, then we find that we are able to remain light, open, positive in every situation. Well, why is the innate not the master today? That's the most important question. We understand that the innate should be the master, but why is it not the master? Yes, what do you feel? How much time throughout the day have I given to enrich, to empower, to replenish, to nurture the acquired? And how much time have I invested to enrich, to empower, to nurture, to replenish, to sustain the innate? What do we feel? When we compare these two, our focus has always been where? The acquired. And so we find that has become very powerful, become more evident, more expressive. And yet the innate, which is the permanent identity, which is the basis of our sense of constant happiness, we find that has become weaker. And so it no longer is the master. And that's why we understand that happiness comes from within, and yet we are not able to remain there constantly. We are still in a search outside. We know that inner happiness is important, and yet we feel, no, in today's world it's not practical, so we'll find that it's important to have this also and that also and that also. Yes? And so we know that remaining light, happy and smiling is natural, and yet we find it so difficult for us to smile, no? Even people in front of me are not all smiling. And so, well, how much times does a child smile? Yes. So many times, without any reason, in every season, he's smiling. Yes. And all of us? Yes. Yes, they have not had the focus on the acquired self. They're still in the innate. Yes. And you see, when a child is there, we take so much effort to bring it back to the awareness of its acquired, no? Its name. We spend effort, we remind the child again and again, this is your name, till it recognizes its name, its maybe parents, its maybe grandparents, maybe brother, sister. It gets connected to the acquired. And then slowly, as we move on in this journey, what happens to the awareness of the innate? It merges, we forget. Now this innate is very powerful because it has the power. It has the power to create thoughts, feelings, emotions. The innate has the power to synthesize, analyze our thoughts, make decisions, and it also has the power to sustain those personality traits which we have created. Yes? So when I say I am this inner being, it actually talks about these three important faculties of the self. The inner being is seated between the forehead, where we can see in the picture. Why? Because energy is light. And so where will light things remain? Above. Yes? So in our body, the highest position, our forehead. And that's why there's a reflex action. Many times when we have made a mistake, what do? Oh my God, what did I do? Yes? It happens like this. When we are thinking, what happens? Our hand automatically again goes to, oh my God, I'm thinking so much, I'm worrying so much. Yes? Why? Because the energy is seated there.